get started.
Recording has started.
So, welcome to everybody joining this session where we will be discussing and presenting the EU marketplace, which is a part of the FLEXICIENCY project, which will enable a future of demand response, flexibility, new energy services, a place where aggregators, storage providers, and retailers can meet, and new services can be developed. Today we have a program of 4 main topics. We will be discussing the EU marketplace and the FLEXICIENCY project very overall, and I, as a moderator, will be introducing some of the things that we hope you as stakeholders in this project hopefully can help us with. We will have a very thorough introduction to the functionalities of the marketplace delivered by partner of the consortium University of Ljubljana. And we will be looking at a couple of demo use cases. We will have a big introduction by Enedis and KiWi Power, and if the time allows, we will also go into a couple of the other demo projects from Italy and from Sweden. In the end, we will have maybe time for questions and feedback. What we would like you as participants in this webinar to do is to write your comments and or questions in the chat box, which is available in the right-hand side of your screen. And please then write your question so we will not interrupt the presentations as they go, but we will collect all the questions and the feedback in the end and make a response. If we are not able to make responses to all questions, we will get back to you after the session. As I said in the beginning, we will also be recording this session. So if someone you know would like to participate, we will share the link, and everybody can at a later stage go back to this presentation. FLEXICIENCY as a project is basically, as I also said, an enabler of allowing new energy services to grow and flourish. There is a need for a standardized European solution, so DSO aggregators, new service providers will be able to develop all these services and basically offer them on a marketplace, which is then open for everybody. This is what we are developing in this project. It could be services like energy monitoring. It could be services which enables energy efficiency, and as I said, aggregation and flexibility. One of the main elements in this project is the access of metering data, which is again part of the platform. So we can enable people to get access to the data when they are needed. So basically, the new energy services will be based on data. And the idea is that you as a stakeholder in this project hopefully also can contribute with your ideas. I'll come back to this later on. We have 5 large-scale demonstrations in the project. One in Italy, which is a demonstration of advanced energy monitoring. We have another one in France, which is actually a cross-border way of doing it with UK aggregator KiWi Power and Enedis as a DSO in France. And we will show the possibility of a demand response market and show how this can actually be done in real life. We also have a demo in Spain, which is again about advanced monitoring, but also about local control and flexibility. We have a demo in Sweden, which is again looking at residential households, but looking at energy monitoring, trying to see what is the opportunity to have a large number of customers to be introduced to these services. And finally, we have a demo in Austria, which is about big commercial and industrial customers. So it's interesting to see these very different demonstrations and how this marketplace enables basically all the different solutions. And this is what we'll be showing you also today. As I said, we see the marketplace as an instrument for data exchange across EU. A very big thing in this, obviously, is standardization. And this is one of the key reasons why we need a standardized EU marketplace. It is to provide the metering data in a format that everybody can access. It is to allow peer-to-peer communication so we can have access to data when we actually need them, and also to allow businesses to collaborate with trusted partners. There is always the insecurity of data and data streams, and this is why we are, of course, emphasizing the data security aspect very much in this project. So we are trying to cover a broad range of elements that will enable new services actually to flourish in the very near future. What we are looking at is also a way to hopefully develop new services. As I just showed you before, there will be 5 demonstration projects, but what we need is also your active participation. We tend to say that what we are now doing with this webinar and the next things that we will be showing coming up over the next coming month is that we will go from informing to involving stakeholders. It's simply extremely important for us to understand the potential of the platform, that stakeholders will also then give us their feedback whether they think the platform works. So it's about the usability, but it's also about if you as a stakeholders think that there are new services that you'd like to develop. So what we will provide after this session is a login to the demo platform for all that has participated in this webinar. And we will be also distributing a questionnaire to you to collect the information, and hope that you'll get back to us with answers in relation to that. That will help us develop the right platform for the future flexibility services and new energy services in the energy system in Europe. So the access to the marketplace that we'll be giving you requires a simple registration. And what we'd like you to give us back is some answers in relation to the usability, comment on existing services, and hopefully also give your response to whether you can see new services from your perspective, invent new services and describe them very briefly. And then actually what we would also like to offer you in this project is the possibility of getting these new services assessed as part of the project that we are currently running. The questionnaire is a quite simple questionnaire. It will be provided online. When you are registering to the marketplace platform, we will be collecting just your email, and we will then send the questionnaire to you after you have registered for the marketplace. For us, as I said before, it is of utmost importance for us to know whether the platform works as we suppose it should. And this is why, of course, we need also people from outside the project to test it and to give us feedback. As I said, this webinar is available online, both for reference and also for further reach to people that did not have the time right now to watch it while it's live. And we, of course, invite everybody to have a look at the webinar. So please invite others both to see the webinar and register for their marketplace. So thank you very much. This was my very brief introduction. I will sum up in the end, but right now I'd like to give the word to the University of Ljubljana. They will be providing a brief demonstration of the marketplace functionalities. So Zvone, please take the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Just to share the screen. Okay. Should be able to see my screen. So as Thomas said, my name is Zvone from University of Ljubljana, and I will give you a brief overview of the functionalities provided by the marketplace. Now, the first thing, Marketplace is a web application that you can access using your web browser. The URL of this application will be shared to you at the end of the webinar. And what I will show you now through the set of videos is how to engage with the marketplace. So what steps do you need to perform in order to be able to use it, and which steps you need to perform to start providing your services, to start discovering services published on the marketplace, and subscribe to services. The first video that I will show will demonstrate how to register user account. Now, as all similar as other web applications, you first need to provide some details about your user account. So first you need to access a registration form where you provide your name information and your email. Now this email will be used to send you verification email, which you will have to confirm and to validate your user account. Okay, so this is first step. When you provide your email, you will get notification that is very similar to this one, and then you access the URL that is sent to you and activate your account. So you provide the password, and once you're done, your account is activated. Now at this stage, you're then able to log in into the marketplace. Okay, login form can be accessed by clicking on this green button on the top left. Okay, then you provide the password, and once you log on, you will get to the home page of the EU marketplace. Okay, so this was account registration. Then next step is registration of your organization. So account is needed to access the marketplace, but if you want to act as a market player on the marketplace, you have to register your organization. Now for this functionalities of the market player, your user account needs to be a member of organization. You can become a member of organization by creating new organization or by joining to an existing organization that is already registered to the marketplace. Now, at first step, I will show you how to register new organization. So you access dashboard, and then you have option to say create new organization. Now this is another form where you need to populate details about your organization, pretty standard information. organization name, your address, contact information that is used by the marketplace to send notifications regarding new services, new service requests, and similar information. So once we enter this basic information, we have to provide organization type. Now we structure organizations in the following types. When you click on it, you'll have the following options: energy regulated player, energy unregulated player, industrial player, research institute, and public body. Now, in this case, I will demonstrate energy regulated player, and it will be DSO. So this is one information that is needed by the marketplace to know what type of player you are. Okay. And now here I have possibility to mark the area on the map which I'm covering as a DSO, for instance. In this case, I said I marked the area of France. Further information that you need to provide is data about IT platforms. So where can I find, how can marketplace access some further details about this DSO. Then we have options regarding the notifications. So if you want to receive notifications from the marketplace on your email, you mark these options. And then we have details about branch. So we structure the organizations and organization branches on the marketplace, as you can see here. So organization can have multiple branches. And for branch, you have to provide additional information, which is important. So in this case, we said we will be regulated data service provider. Okay, and based on this data, later on, the manager and the administrator party of the marketplace will assign appropriate role to this market player. So once you're done with inserting the data regarding the organization, you click submit. And at this stage, organization registration request will be sent to the administrators of the marketplace. Okay, so at this stage, you're still not able to act as a market player on the marketplace because your registration request needs to be validated, verified, and confirmed by the administrators of the marketplace. Now, when you will click submit, the business administrator of the marketplace will receive notification that you created new organization request. Just one thing that I would like to add at this stage. So this administration part will not be done by you, but it will be performed by us. I would just like to show you so you can understand the registration process. So what is the process? So the business administrator will receive notification that will say this organization registered new organization branch, and then it's up to business administrator to validate the data that was provided during organization registration. So when he will click on the registration request, he will be able to see the details that you provided regarding your organization. Now, if everything is as it should be, so in order, then the business administrator will decide what kind of role to assign to this organization. So as we defined here, branch role, we said we will be regulated data service provider. And then the business administrator will define the role and say that this organization will act as a service provider. It can also be both, of course. Update, and then he will confirm this registration request. Now, this confirmation of the registration is two-step process. So one confirmation must come from the business administrator, and the second confirmation must come from the business information receiver, which is entity that is above the business administrator, let's say. So the process for confirmation is very much the same as for the business administrator. He needs to validate the data and then decide if he confirms or rejects the registration. Now, when this process is completed, you will be notified via email. So when you register organization, you will receive, okay, your organization was confirmed. And when you receive that message, you are then able to access, to log in and act as a market player on the marketplace. Okay, so before I show you more details or more functionalities that are related to the service provider, for instance, service publishing, I will now like to briefly show you what is the other option. So how can you become, let's say, a market player, is by joining to the organization. As I said before, you can create new organization or join to an existing one. So if more than one people would like to test this, test the marketplace inside your organization, only the first one needs to create the organization. All the rest users can only join to existing one. So when I click on the join to an existing organization, I will get the list of all organizations that are registered to the marketplace. So I select the organization and then I will get the list of all the branches, and I say join to the branch that I would like to join. Now this organization join request is then sent to the organization owner, to the user that actually registered the organization, and he needs to then decide if he will allow this user account to join the organization. So this is managed under organization branch, and then he decides whether or not he will allow this user to join. Of course, two roles are possible within the organization branch. We have member and member with actions. So member with actions can also, let's say, publish services and request services. But if the member with no action, the role is member with no action, then he can only view the data on the marketplace. Okay, so this was the second option. So before you can start acting as a market player, you have to register your user account, and then you have to create your organization or join to some existing organization. Okay. Now let's show how some service provider can say, I would like to provide new service, and let's see what is the process for this step. So now I already logged in, and when I log in, on the top left corner, I click on my name to get the list of all the organizations or organization branches that I'm member of, and I have to select one. Okay, when I select organization branch, this means that me, so this user John Doe, acts as a member of a DSO data producer branch. Okay, this is just an example. Now, if you followed carefully, you saw when I selected branch, I received, I can now see this view services. Also here I have buttons that I can use to access the central repository or central list of the services that are published and provided by the marketplace. Okay, so in general, services are divided in two parts: regulated services published by regulated players and unregulated players. Unregulated services published by unregulated players. So this is the list of services that is visible to all the market players, all the registered market players on the marketplace. Okay, now here I have, we can see 4 published services, and now I will show you how some market player can create and publish new service. So this can be done by navigating to manage my services, and here I can see the view, the list of all services that I manage, okay, that I'm owner of, and I can edit, publish, and create. So let's create new service. By clicking create button, I will be shown the service creation form. Now first, we need to provide some basic information regarding the service, like name, more detailed description about the service, for instance, what kind of data I will provide, this service can provide, and so on. Then I have some optional fields like additional information, which is basically you can provide URL to the service, to the web page that is describing your service into more details. Then I provide usage details that basically describe how someone can access my service. Then we have information about time period. For instance, let's say we can define for which period this service will be available. Then we have customer consent checkbox, which basically means do I need customer consent before I can send any information, any data, before this service can send any data to the service requester. Okay. Next, I can also mark the location, or let's say the area for which my service is able to provide data for. Okay. Then final part of the service is more details regarding the data this service is able to produce. Now, in this part, service provider needs to give more information regarding the service categories. So we separate services in the following categories: regulated individual data provision, regulated aggregated data provision, and regulated energy support service provision. We have three different categories for the regulated players and three different categories for the unregulated players. So unregulated players cannot publish regulated individual data provision service. Okay, this is first step. So we need to define the service category, and we need to define service category. So the description about service, the service category is parted in category and subcategory. Then I provide information. So as I said, this is a service that is providing aggregated data provision, aggregated data, and for this I need to provide 4 additional fields. So based on the service category and service category, you will be provided with additional fields that you need to provide when you're describing your service. Okay, so when you're satisfied with the data, you will say submit, and at this step, your service will be visible in this view. So in the view of manage my services. Okay, so at this point, your service is not yet visible by other market players. Okay, so this is the service that we added, and now I will mark my service and say publish. And with this step, I make my service visible to other market players. So now will be added into the services regulated list. Okay, before we had 4 services, now we have 5, and I think the second one is the service that we added. And this is how some service provider can publish service, and now some other market player can log into the marketplace, get to the services list, and see all the services that he can subscribe to. Okay. Okay, now let's see the other party, the other side. So now we had service provider. Now let's see how service requester can discover and find the services. So this is now energy service company, and he is now accessing services regulated list. Okay, central repository or of all the published services. Now in this example, we navigated to the DSO and service localization, and we will use this map to mark the area in which we are interested. So we are interested in the DSOs and services that are able to provide data for this area. Okay, now in this example, we saw that we have one DSO that is able to provide data for this area, and when we select the DSO, we will get all the services provided by this DSO. Okay, this is just one example of how the service discovery can be performed. Of course, there are other additional functionalities and more detailed filters that you can use to discover services. Okay, at this stage, this service requester could say, okay, I would like to request this service and provide and go through the service subscription process, which will be later on explained and demonstrated in another demo. Okay, so we showed how to publish service. We showed how to discover the service. Then next step, I would like to show and explain one more functionality, which is basically integration between the marketplace and the market player platforms. So after let's say some service requester will subscribe to some service, we would like to notify the service platforms that are providing the services. There is new subscription to your service. Start initiating the activation of your service for this service consumer. Okay, so this integration, the purpose of this integration between the marketplace and the platforms is exactly that. So the marketplace can automatically send detailed information about the service subscription to the market player. Of course, for this to work, platforms and the marketplace needs to expose these integration interfaces. Okay, these integration interfaces were defined within the project, and it's basically REST-based service. These integration services are REST-based web services. So service platform will be able to receive notifications if it will implement this integration interface, and then of course on the marketplace, the market player will have to provide connection details for this service platform interface. So the integration includes the base URL of the service and the API key, which is refreshed for the security reasons. So when this configuration is saved, you can also test this configuration. So this test will check if the marketplace is able to connect with the platform. Okay, so before I was showing the integration setup for the DSO, and in this case I'm showing integration configuration for the energy service provider. Okay, so this is first part. So what kind of notifications will be sent to the market player platform? As I said, when service subscription process is completed on the marketplace will automatically send details about service subscription to the platforms. So based on these interfaces, and when you receive these notifications, you can build and implement some automatic procedures that will allow you to activate the service for the service subscriber. And of course, for the communication in the other way around, so from the market player platform to the EU marketplace, the EU marketplace expects notifications from the platforms that will tell the marketplace basically the state of the integration between or the status of the service execution for some service subscription. And of course, data for the interface exposed by the marketplace is provided on this view. So the base URL of the interface and the market player specific API key that the market player platform should use to authenticate against the marketplace when sending these notifications. And finally, just briefly to show you how you can monitor the exchange of these notifications between the marketplace and market player platforms. So the marketplace provides the monitoring view, my integrations, cockpit. You can see notifications sent from the marketplace to the market player platform. So in this case, we see notification that is carrying information about service offer. And then on the second view, we can see notifications that are received and sent by service platform for some service offer and service within the service offer. So when, if of course there is if service needs to, or service provider needs to get consent from the user, then the service platform will send a notification to the marketplace. Okay, now I have received consent from the user, and I can start activating the service. So with the second message, and then we have these interim messages that just tell the marketplace, okay, service is under execution and everything is working fine. And of course, you can see the details and the data of the message that are exchanged. Okay, now I will pass the word to the Enedis and KiWi Power that will demonstrate how you can subscribe to service on the marketplace, and they will provide further details about this B2B integration between two parties. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Zvone. That was a very good and interesting presentation. As Zvone said, Karima now from Enedis, Mircea from KiWi Power will be going a bit more into detail about how these functionalities are being used currently in the demo project. As I said also initially, feel free to ask questions in the chat function. We already have a couple of questions there. And we are of course collecting these, even though we will not be able to answer them all. We'll get back to you with the answers after this presentation. Yeah, welcome to you, Karima.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I am Karima Boukir. I'm working at Enedis, the French DSO, which used to be called ERDF. Yeah, this is the French demonstration. In the FLEXICIENCY project, we are aiming to validate cross-border principle using the marketplace between European market players. Yeah, the story is about a UK-based player on demand response, which will assess the French market on demand response and with the use of aggregated load curve, French load curve on the Enedis perimeter. Okay, so these are, I'm going through 4 major steps of the B2B process, which starts from registration, as Zvone talked previously, from registration until the data delivery peer-to-peer between a data manager and a data requester. So from service publication, prior to all of these, as Zvone presented, we have to set up our both platforms for an automated exchange, first of all with the marketplace and afterwards with the B2B. But these URLs are about marketplace messages. So on the left-hand side, you have the FlexiFrench demo.fr and the FLEXICIENCY KiWiPower.com. This is briefly the description of an aggregated data service. Maybe we don't put everything, but the core of it is inside. And when it is published, KiWi Power and any other market player who have access to the marketplace can see all the published services and can request any service. And then you can get through some negotiation. But at this level, at this stage, anyone can request a service. So I can, then when it is requested, I see on my view, yeah, as a market player user, I can see, I will be alerted by an email as well to my box, and also the messages box in the marketplace. And when I go to the marketplace, I can go on the left-hand side, you can see my portfolio as a service request, and on the top of it, service offers portfolio as well. And here are the on the screenshot, the received requests, and I can move by clicking, by offering the request, and it, the status moves from new to offered. Next. Then when I offer the service, KiWi may receive also on the other side an alert by email, etc. And we'll see that the request has been accepted, and now there is an offer to negotiate. The offer is about kind of agreement to lead to a contract between us. This is a screenshot also about the service offer, which is the next step. And again, when I emit the offer, it starts by new, and when it is accepted by the market player, it turns to accepted. Then the marketplace will hear about us, that we achieved an agreement between two players, and they will, the marketplace automatically will send to the URLs, you know, the platforms we set up at the beginning, an automated message informing the technical teams and the platforms that an agreement has been signed and they need to start to work with. It means, yeah, and in the middle I put the outbound notification. It means from the marketplace to market player platforms, there is a message, and the message is service offer. So at this stage, we end the negotiation into the marketplace, and we start to get B2B negotiation. It can be automated, but it can be also still open. There is a flexible freedom in this stage, because we may adjust some technical needs and some technical setup, maybe some checks between the B2B platforms and actors as well, before setting up an automated data exchange from the provider to the requester. Okay. So afterwards, when this adjustment is done and when we started to deliver the data, as Zvone said, as a service provider, our platform will send to a marketplace a message saying, by the way, the service offer of ID blah, blah, blah is now activated. And on a regular basis, we will send a message saying interim message, which means the platform is running well and the service also is still running. Okay. Now I'm going to show a bit of my screen about when I connect to the marketplace, I can see my portfolio of all service offers. I can see their state here on the second column. If it is new, I can go and edit, and then I can add some conditions. And if it is cancelled, I can see why it is cancelled. Yeah, of course, it's just a test. And then when cancellation is pending, it means I did not confirm the cancellation. Yeah, all of these. And the organization name is on the third column, saying all the partners with whom I signed something, just to show, yeah, there are branches, and of course the creation date, which is very useful to understand when the thing has been generated. Okay, after this, I'm going to show the platform, the Enedis platform dedicated to FLEXICIENCY with some data. Yeah, we are aiming to deliver on, here is the national level aggregation. It means all France together with some segmentation, of course. And in the near future, we are working actually currently on the regional level of aggregation, also with the segmentations and with some data analytics on statistical meaning, with load curves as well. We know the load curve is one of the major need for some market players. Yeah, just to show a bit of the national data, which is the first case we are dealing with currently, especially with KiWi Power. I can imagine it is about consumption and on the residential profile segment. I can go and analyze this data. This is about actually, this is populated by some data scientists, and we need to validate the data before putting them in an automated way with on the platform for some partners. Yeah, we can see here some averages. I can go and look at it, have some data visualization. Yeah, these sort of things, just making some validation before putting in place with some APIs the data delivering in an automated way. So thank you for listening, and I'm going to finish at this stage and leave the floor to KiWi Power.
Thank you very much, Karima. I think, Mircea, you will now be ready to go into detail about how you've been exploring the opportunities of this platform from your perspective.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Mircea Bukur. I'm a product manager with KiWi Power. I'll just double check. Everybody can see the screen now?
Yes, it's there. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Karima, for walking through the user interface and functionalities of Marketplace, and also to Zvone for a very interesting presentation on how to sign up on the platform and how to use various services. So just a few words about KiWi. We're the leading demand response service provider here in UK, and potentially more important for this project, we're also actively looking to expand to other European markets, and obviously to those markets that support demand response services through regulation and commercial programs. What I'm trying to show today is slightly beyond the technicalities of how to use the marketplace. It's how, let's say, a smaller player like us can benefit from accessing energy consumption data from various geographies, and how that can actually have an impact on, let's say, how we approach various markets, and how quickly we can develop a strategy or a business plan for a specific geography. And so I think I won't insist too much on the aspects of the marketplace and how we subscribe to various services. I think you've already seen that, but just in case, we just go for the type of services that we're interested in. This case is regulated services, and we select a type of service provision that we're interested. We place a request, and I'll just switch to a different screen where I can show the actual results of data communication between partners and what happens in the background with the APIs that we set up through the process that Zvone explained. You can see the endpoints of our APIs and how the activation of acceptance of offer and activation of services has been confirmed through the marketplace and with our data service provider, which in this case is Enedis. But what I want to show, it's more of, okay, so we requested some data, we're getting access to some data. What's the big thing? What do we do with it? And so I'll just switch to, this is our internal analysis tool that we use as a first step in assessing whether a client or a site is of interest for us. And although we do this normally on a site-by-site or client-by-client basis, there's always scope to look at aggregated data, particularly if we know exactly what region it refers to, and also if we can filter out the specific industry vertical, which is the case with the data that we've been provided. And so what this enables us to do is have a quick glimpse into sort of total addressable market in a particular region, and also it enables us to decide whether it's worth spending more efforts, either time or financial or human resources, into further investigating with particular clients. So here you see through the activation of services, we've activated the B2B data exchange link with Enedis, and we received 4 different data sets. And I'm just going to show you what do we do with it, really. So this is a proprietary tool that we use to analyze data. And based on, let's say I want to look at the demand response potential chart for data set number 3, you can see this covers 2 years. So it's 2 years worth of data, half-hourly data. And well, the tool is can do a number of things, but basically it crunches the number and goes through overlapping demand curves and low curves, and gives us a total figure of demand response potential for that data set. Now, based on make certain analysis and business decisions, oops, sorry about that. It wasn't intended. Right? Okay, here you go. It's a first step into a more complex business analysis and decision-making process. As I said, vertical is of interest, we can go with requesting individual client data, which is based on the client consent, but that moves us into a slightly different use case. We looked at typical approaches to getting the same result without having access to this data through a unified marketplace. And we think on average the time to obtain and process this data on traditional ways will be 50% more time consuming for us. So I think that's pretty good. Obviously I'm happy to take questions when we open the question sessions, but I'll just give it back to Thomas now.
Thank you very much, Mircea, and thank you everybody for listening. I know it is now time for ending the webinar, but we have already received a couple of questions. One question from Willem, I don't know if you're still here, which is related to the standard used for exchange of energy data. I think Sylvia and Karima, you'll be able to answer this. Sylvia?
Hello, this is Silvia De Francisci from Enel. About the protocol of B2B communication, I can say we have worked on a data model that is based over CIM. Sorry.
Thank you very much. We can go back also on an email, of course, to Willem who asked this question. We have another question which is related also to the form to register. I guess, Karima, you already answered this, but Matteo, you have some additional information, I think.
Hello, I'm Matteo Murgida from Siemens, one of the technological partners of some of the players of this pilot project. In the registration form, you can specify the URL of the platform that is providing the service. During this negotiation performed in the marketplace, both the requester of the service and the provider will receive a notification with this URL, so that automatically the B2B communication, so the real exchange of data, can start between who's providing the service and the requester. So I hope I've answered the question.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of additional questions that unfortunately we will not have time to answer here in this session, but we will, as I said, get back to you individually and also answer them more broadly in a follow-up email to everybody. Just as a brief summary of the session, and thank you again for attending. We have seen that new energy services are already available and they are being now tested and demoed all over Europe on the FLEXICIENCY EU marketplace. And as I said initially, your help as stakeholders are really needed as it is now we need your feedback on whether the platform is functioning the way it is supposed to. So what we will offer you is basically a login to the marketplace. You can trial it, you can give us feedback, and after having registered on the marketplace, we will send you a questionnaire that we really hope that you'll fill in and answer and send back to us. It's online, so you don't even have to put in a Word document and send it. You can just answer it directly on the web page. Thank you very much again for your time, and do you have additional questions, don't hesitate to contact me. My contact information is here below on the screen, thomas.mikkelsen@VaasaETT.com. You can also phone me on the phone number if you have questions related to this or other things in relation to FLEXICIENCY. I think this has been a very, very interesting session. Thank you again, everybody, very much for attending. We'll follow up with you shortly. And as I said, this webinar will also be recorded, and you will have access to it, and we'll follow up with everybody that has attended. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to have you here this afternoon.